From the octagon fire to the studio mics, tune in weekly, we're dropping the spikes, analyzing every punch, every kick that lands. Maniacs in the game, playing with fans' demands. Ken's got the insight, Joe's got the flair, mapping out the fights will take you anywhere. So grab your popcorn, buckle up tight.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
I love that intro, dude. What's up? What's up? Back again, MMAniacs podcast. Oh man, that intro is dope. I wish we could get more of that, more of it before the Huddle Sports stuff kicks in. But joined as always, Bare Knuckle Ken and Joe. What's going on, dude?
Oh, not much.
Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties, man. Yeah, I just got back from jiu-jitsu myself, and we were doing like stand-up sweeps and stuff. So like professor demonstrated on me, and he did this one where you like, dude, I went flying through the air. Like I was sitting there, it was like I was in midair, and it's like, I believe I can fly. It's like all slow motion, like Michael Jordan in the R. Kelly video. You know, I was just like, dude, I had time to sit there and like think about my life before I hit the ground. Awesome. And then, oh yeah, dude. I mean, it's fun. Man, he got me in a nasty ass guillotine choke too, like because he was trying to demonstrate like when you have collar and elbow grips, and I had my head down, and so he just like grabbed. He had a collar grip. He just like basically pushed my head down with one arm, pulled my gi up with the other arm onto my neck, and just like. I was like, ah. And I was looking at him like, what the fuck was that for? You know? And then like, so I even asked him afterwards, I was like, is it because I had my head down? He was like, he's like, I don't teach this. Like, oh man, that's how he says it too. Like, he's like, I know teach this. Like, oh, okay.
I didn't teach you to leave your neck exposed.
No, dude. Yeah, I had it coming, I guess. But yeah, dude. You know, I mean, I'm not mad about it. Like, you know, it's just paying your dues, dude. So, yeah, it was.
The best way to learn not to do it is to have some major consequences when you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because you know, like when I'm drilling, sometimes I like I'm kind of going through the motions, you know, and like. So it taught me a lesson, you know. It's like you got to be more intentional, like be in the moment, and like you got to be thinking about what you're doing, you know. Like a little mistake like that, you know, can get you choked, obviously. So it's like, you know, keep your head up, keep it, you know, fundamental stuff, you know. So yeah, dude, it is what it is. It was a good class. You know, getting close, man. This weekend we got 316. You know, I'm still picking Juliana, by the way. Let's run through. We'll make our picks for that card, and then I want to get into 317 and 318. Because you know we talked some about 317 with Charles, but let's get our picks for this. At least for the two main fights. You know, I don't really care about the rest of the card. There's not really, it's not a fantastic card. But the two title fights will make it interesting. So I'm picking Juliana. I just think she's going to out-grit Kayla. Like, I think, you know, she's going to get beat down for the first couple rounds, but she'll survive and weather the storm, and then eventually I think she'll manage to catch her. You know, tire her out. So we'll see what happens with that. Are you picking Kayla?
No, absolutely. I'm going with the female Brock Lesnar to muscle up on Juliana.
You and everybody else, man. Although, hey, there was one guy on the Reddit MMA page who he was saying the same thing I'm saying. He's like, dude, people are really counting Juliana out of this fight. And, you know, she's an absolute dog. And I think she's going to out-grit Kayla. And I had to give him a like, and like, dude, I think the same thing. Like, but let's look at the odds. As we're closer to the fight now, we're 3 days out. See if the odds have narrowed at all.
Give me 1/2 second.
I just feel like there's got to be somebody who saw those odds and was like, you know what? Even if I don't think Juliana is going to win, like the odds are good enough,
Now, DraftKings is damn near the same at plus 525 for Juliana and minus 750 for Kayla. But
No, that's worse.
FanDuel, it has creeped a little closer with plus 420 for Juliana and minus 650 for Kayla.
Man, that's almost the same as DraftKings was last week, but DraftKings actually got worse because last week Kayla was minus 625 and Juliana was plus 450. So now Juliana's plus 500 something and Kayla's minus 7 something.
Yep, minus 750 and Juliana's plus 525.
That means all the bettors are coming in on Kayla, dude. Now, when this happens, every once in a while, the sun shines on you, and you know what I mean. You have an opportunity. You're presented with an opportunity here. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is that one, dude, where it's like that first Nunes fight where the whole world bet the house on Nunes, and there was like maybe a couple of smart people who saw those odds and were like, I got to get a piece of this, and they made big money, dude. So if you got 50 or $100 that you don't mind, losing, drop it on Juliana, man. Like, that's get the widest odds you can get. You know what I mean? If you're betting, I don't know if that's betting money line or if it's betting because if you bet Juliana straight across, it's like what plus 5 something, so you're getting 550 for your 100. But there's got to be like a prop bet you could add to that, like Juliana by submission or something that or Juliana by decision that you can get additional odds on. And I mean that's a tasty bet, man. I'm not a bettor, but if I was, man, I would consider taking that action. But so you got Kayla. How do you think that fight goes? Like, how do you think it ends? What round? What are you thinking?
Oh, give me the second round to where Kayla is gonna use some of her judo skill there, get her down to the mat and in a dominant position, and give her some good old ground and pound. Go full Lesnar style with this one.
So you're saying TKO second round?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going back and forth because I feel like Juliana could win a decision if she decides to box. She's going to end up on the ground early, but if she can weather the storm and tire Kayla out from beating on her, you know what I mean? And like, because that's a real thing. Like, Kayla could literally just get tired of punching her in the face, and like she's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? And like it could exhaust her. And so I'm leaning towards Juliana by decision. I think she starts to pick it up in round 3. Like, Kayla will be a little more tired, and she guts out round 4 and 5. But I could also see a submission. Juliana, as quiet as it's kept, has some decent submissions. I think, if she can tire her out, she may end up on the ground again in the 4th round, and she may, and she may get a transition that's favorable to her and take advantage of it. But what I really see happening is I think Kayla gets gassed at some point, and that point where you're gassed where you just can't do anything. Like I think it's just literal exhaustion, and Juliana manages to sink a choke or something because she just outgassed Hanks, dude. and Juliana is not going to be pretty in the post fight.
No.
Like she put it this way, she's going to look like she lost the fight as they're raising her hand. You know what I mean? She's going to look like, if you had a choice of which one you'd want to be, like Kayla's face is going to be clean, and Juliana is going to look like Martin Lawrence after he fought Tommy Hitman Hearns. Remember in Martin? It's all like how his face was all like this big and deformed and stuff. Juliana's going to look messed up, but she's going to get her hand raised, I think, dude. So then we go to Merab and Sean. Another interesting fight. I know that you've been, curious about what's going to happen there. Like if Sean, worked on his takedown defense or worked on, staying off the cage.
Much his excuse of having the hip injury actually played a part in the first fight. I want to see if he's going to drastically improve that performance there, because if he fights anywhere near the same that he did that first time, I think it's relatively for a professional championship fight an easy win for Merab there. But did you hear about Merab coming out and saying that he's going to knock him out this time?
It's called psychological warfare, dude. Like he's just making, he knows that Sean's not going to believe it. And, it's like he's saying it because you have to throw it out there because, there's always the possibility that he could take the bait, that Sean could think, oh, maybe he's not going to actually wrestle me for 5 rounds. Like he wants to actually stand and bang. There's no way on earth that Merab is going to stand and bang with Sean for 5 rounds. Not going to happen. That's another, if you can find a prop bet on that, like Merab takedowns, I would go Merab takedown attempts, dude. Like get yourself a parlay going with Juliana by either submission or decision, and then Merab like plus 10 takedown attempts. Safe bet. But what do you think? Do you think that Sean has improved? Do you think? I mean, it's hard to say, but we're asking for predictions. So, what do you see? How do you see this fight transpiring?
From him not going and seeking any outside help, and him just doubling down on the wrestling in his camp, I don't know how much improvement you're going to get out of his wrestling unless, again, that hip had a major factor into it. But I got a feeling we're relatively going to see the same thing unless Merab's the one to change the pace of the fight. Other than that, I see it being Merab's going to wrestle him and just hold him to the ground damn near.
See, I'm tossed on this one, dude. Like, part of me... Hey, what's going on, Brent?
Yeah,
part of me thinks that Sean is going to be able to land that shot this time. But part of me thinks it's going to be more of the same. But if I had to put money on it, I'm going Merab. And I think that, like we were talking about with Nick last week, I think it's a good segue for O'Malley. If he loses this fight, it's the perfect time to jump up to featherweight, because can you imagine like O'Malley versus, like we were talking about Yair Rodriguez last week, but can you imagine O'Malley versus Volkanovski? I mean, Volk is so much shorter than O'Malley, dude. Like, O'Malley has that long kicking range and that sniper range. Like, it would be really interesting to see if Volkanovski could wrestle Sean. You know what I mean? Like, Sean he'd be giving up the weight advantage, maybe, because I think Sean's big for bantamweight. I think he cuts a lot of weight to get down to bantamweight. So he might not be at a huge disadvantage weight-wise on fight night. And he's got the height and the reach advantage. Yeah, dude, I think a featherweight campaign, especially now, O'Malley's only 30, dude. Like, he's still got time. He's already, his bantamweight run was nice. It had lots of highlights. No, I'm not in Vegas. I'm in California. But I just, I pay attention to the betting odds because I'm not. The betting odds, these people get paid for a reason, like people that make the odds, they get paid for a reason. Like they watch fights, they know what they're talking about for the most part. Every once in a while, they go with the sure thing, quote unquote, and they're wrong because that's why they fight the fight. Anything can happen, right? And I think that's what's happening with Juliana. I think the whole world is underestimating her, and I think there's going to be an upset. I could be wrong. I could be back here next week, and Juliana could get just absolutely mollywopped, and okay, I was wrong, but I see it being ripe for the pickings, dude. I see an upset in the air.
I get what you're saying and all, but I personally think O'Malley has a better shot of the upset victory than Juliana does over Kayla.
I mean, you're not saying anything like original there. You're not saying anything that the whole world isn't saying right now.
Well,
you're in the consensus.
I'm going with O'Malley for at least the puncher opportunity there of him being a sniper with his boxing skills, that he's going to be able to learn. Hopefully a couple of clean ones to put Merab out of his game plan. Now, if that actually happens, is a totally different story, but I think that's a hell of a lot easier than Juliana trying to take down the female Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. You're going with conventional wisdom. Like everybody has written Juliana off in this fight, man. And I'm telling you, like she's the Venezuelan vixen, dude. Like she's Latina. Latinas, the one thing about them, dude, they have a fiery spirit, bro. Like they don't quit. Like they have a fiery spirit, bro. And I just really feel like Juliana she's coming to fight. Like she's coming, she knows she's going to get her ass beat at first. I'm pretty sure she's aware of that. She's about to get put through the meat grinder, but she's banking on, I'm going to come out the other side. And, then when it's my turn, can you handle the heat? You know what I mean? Like I'm going to take what you got, but after I take what you got and you're exhausted, can you take what I got? And that's, I think that's the difference. Is Kayla, I think, is looking to go in there, dominate. Like she's not expecting an absolute war because Juliana has pillow fists. She doesn't have any punching power at all. She has good technical boxing, but her punching power is negligible. So, and Kayla is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in judo, so she's like not worried about the takedown at all. She's like, if the fight's going to the ground, it's because I want it there, right? Kayla's probably supremely confident in that. Whereas with Juliana, it's like, I think Juliana's content to let Kayla think that, she's like, let her be overconfident, because then when I'm still there after the storm, like she's going to be surprised. It's going to throw her off her game. Like, I just feel like, Juliana's playing a smart play. Like mentally, I think she understands that, like she's packing a lunch for this one. You know what I mean? She's expecting this one to go 5 rounds and 5 nasty rounds. And I think Kayla is like, I'm gonna have her out in 2, And so the question becomes, what happens if she doesn't get her out of there in 2? That's what makes that fight interesting to me. But as far as Merab and Sean, I mean, are you picking Merab or?
Yeah,
see, it's hard, right?
I'm gonna pick Merab just for the massive difference in wrestling skill, and this guy's pretty much the poster child for cardio. Where Sean O'Malley, the only real chance I'm giving him is if he can somehow keep at least the majority of the fight on the feet, and he lets his boxing skill completely take over the fight.
Yeah. I mean, really, that is his only chance. I think Sean should. It's on Saturday night. I really think that Sean should implement kicks in this fight. I think, a good sound strategy for him would be to take the center of the octagon and work the calf kicks early in the fight, and don't give up on him. Like, even if Merab happens to catch a kick and put you down for a round, don't give up on the calf kicks and the leg kicks. Like, I really think, Sean's advantage is in his speed and his footwork. So I would kick Merab's legs until he, because Merab is going to chase. Merab has to chase because he has to get the fight to the ground, So I would look at, I'm going to kick this dude's legs until he can't walk anymore, because then I can work my footwork and he can't chase me anymore.
Yeah, and doesn't O'Malley have quite a reach advantage on Merab?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the reach advantage is even longer with the legs, which is why I was saying last week, use the side kicks, use the front kicks, the push kicks. Keep Merab at a distance, front kick him in the chest, and then move back to the center of the octagon, like get back. Because if I'm Sean, I'm staying away from the cage, dude. I'm not putting my back anywhere near the cage. Like, unless he forces me to, and I don't have a choice. Like, So, I don't know, man. Like, I want to pick O'Malley because I feel like one thing O'Malley does really well is adjust. Like, he adjusts well within a fight. So, after losing a fight, especially as dominatingly as he did last time, I feel like he's going to come with a different game plan. And he's, I feel like he knows what mistakes he made. But at the same time, it's just hard to bet against Merab. With what we saw and with Merab's insane cardio, like, it's hard to pick against Merab in that fight. So I think I'm going to go Merab, but my heart is kind of going with Sean on this one. I feel like, my head is with Merab, my heart is kind of going with Sean on this one. But if Sean loses this fight, it's the perfect segue into featherweight. Like, might as well just move up, let Merab have his reign, because you have the chance to go up to featherweight and become a 2-division champ. And I really believe O'Malley could go all the way up to lightweight and be successful. So, go get the featherweight belt. But, you go up there, you're not going to have to fight the entire top 15. It's like, they're going to give him a top 5 contender right out of the, top 5 to 7 contender right off the bat at featherweight. So, I mean, if he goes in there like Yair Rodriguez, I think is like number 2 or 3. Like, if he goes in there and he beats Yair, it's like he's already in line for a title shot, dude. Bam, get the title early, like within your first year of being a featherweight, defend the title a couple times, then move up to lightweight by the time you're 32, and finish out your career, your last, whatever, 3 to 5 years at lightweight, you have the chance to become a 3-division champ. Potentially, because there's some intriguing fights at 55. If Sean can get up there and he's not absolutely blown away by the weight advantage, like, can you imagine like a striking match between? I mean, Poirier will be retired by then, but could you imagine like Sean and Gaethje, or like Sean and Paddy Pimblett? Like, that would be a man.
I wouldn't mind seeing him and Paddy Pimblett. Gaethje, that one I gotta favor Gaethje heavily in, just because of Gaethje's size, and we know that Gaethje can take a lot of punishment and deal a shit ton of it out.
See, that's a fight that I actually favor Sean.
Really?
Like, yeah, because Sean's footwork and his speed, like, Gaethje is tailor-made for him, dude, because Gaethje is going to come forward and try to stand and bang with him. Gaethje doesn't use his wrestling. Even though he has wrestling, he never uses it. So that's a fight that's perfectly, like, set up for Sean. In my opinion, I think Sean knocks Gaethje out. and makes it look easy. To be honest, like as long as he doesn't get clipped, yeah, I think because Gaethje's a dog. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying but I just feel like Sean is a slicker striker, and he'll
So,
outslick.
pretty much that Sean would win based off his technical boxing skill.
Yeah, he would outslick him, dude. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think that's an interesting fight. I wouldn't mind seeing Sean versus Charles. Because we all know what Charles can do on the ground, but Charles can actually stand up too. But his chin's been cracked before, so that's an intriguing fight. Ilya, ooh, give me Sean and Ilya, dude.
I think Ilya, with that insane amount of power, it would be a hell of a fight for him.
But he's got to land. That's the thing. Sean is such a good technical boxer, and he'll have a huge reach advantage, So if he can just keep him on the end of that jab all day, it could be a frustrating night for Ilya. But we'll see. So getting into 317 is coming up at the end of June. We have 2 pay-per-views this month because it's International Fight Week. So getting into the card for 317, let's look at the odds. I'm interested to see what the odds are for those fights.
Yeah, hold on.
Ilya and Charles. That is 317, right? Ilya and Charles.
Oh, oof. Charles is plus 300 and Ilya is minus 380.
I mean, that's not too bad. I don't know. They're giving a lot to Ilya. The consensus is they think Ilya is going to knock him out. Obviously.
I think Ilya has an outstanding chance as long as we don't get any of that weird unconventional submissions for Oliveira, because watching his fights, he can sit there and pull one off from any fucking position. I've never seen somebody hop around like he does and sink shit in so effortlessly.
Dude, the way he gets on your back so fast, he's like a spider monkey, dude.
Mm-hmm. Or how nasty his freaking guillotine is on the ground, standing, shit halfway midair.
Yeah, I agree. I'm interested to see how that goes. So what are the other fights on that card? There's 2 title fights on that card too, isn't there? Oh, the BMF. Oh no, that's not on that one.
Yeah, that's the next one. You got the Kai Kara of France.
And Pantoja.
Yep.
So who are you taking in that fight? So obviously you're taking Ilya, right?
Yeah. Give me the guy with sledgehammers for fists.
I'm leaning Ilya. I want Charles to win. I'll be rooting for Charles, but I think Ilya is probably going to win. And Ilya winning would actually be better for me in the long run, because then we can make that Poirier-Ilya fight, which I would love to see.
Holy shit, Nizzle. We got a JB in the comments.
What's up, JB? Yeah, dude. I would love to. I think if Dustin beats Max and Ilya wins, why not give him the title shot, dude? Why not give Dustin one last chance to go out on top? I would
say that it'd be one hell of an entertaining fight.
I honestly like Dustin's chances in that fight. I really do.
I don't know, because right now, as it stands in Poirier's career, he's not going to be just fighting Ilya at the time. He'll be fighting Father Time too.
Yeah, but name me one person that has, let's say in the last 5 years, that has outstruck Dustin Poirier.
Well, that's kind of a handicap because I'm a little touchy with the past 5 years.
Okay. So in his last, 5, 6, 7 fights, 8 fights, like name me one person that outstruck Dustin Poirier. I mean, we could talk about what a clown JC716 is, like, because how can you call Aspinall the clown? John Jones is the biggest clown show there is, dude. Like, he's obviously running from Tom. Like, he doesn't want no part of that because he knows the young buck is coming to take his belt. Like, John should just give up the belt and go off into retirement and enjoy it. Like, either that or sack up and fight. Like, stop the talk. He's over in Thailand right now shooting steroids into his balls as we speak, dude. Like, no, really, John Jones is in Thailand as we speak. Yeah, that's great. John Jones has a great resume at 205. Let's talk about his heavyweight resume. Can we talk? Hey, why don't you drop JC the link and he can come on here? This will be entertaining. JC, you want to come on and have a little conversation?
Let's say the link is out there now. If you feel like hopping on and having a debate,
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna steal something. Like, I got a buddy. Well, I won't call him a buddy because we don't know each other personally, but we respect each other. His name is Boxing Ego. He's the best in the business, and it's not even close. If you guys are boxing fans, check out his podcast, Boxing Ego. He has a thing called the Hot Seat, where he'll give a take, and if somebody wants to debate, he'll drop the link, and he'll put them on the hot seat. And Ego is undefeated on the hot seat, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the hot seat in the show right now. Like, we're gonna have some rules though. Number one, let's be respectful in our discourse, right? Like, we're talking about MMA. There's no need for character assassination. We'll say you're allowed to assassinate the character of the fighters that we're talking about, but as far as personal attacks between us, we're thousands of miles apart. There's no need.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, there's no need for us to be disrespectful to one another, right? So,
No. I just want to have like an actual this conversation. But but this is my thing.
Hold on.
Tom Aspinall is.
So first off, since you're on the hot seat,
yeah.
I'm gonna ask the questions first. What makes you say that Tom Aspinall is a clown?
Because he's talking about a guy ducking him that's had how many world title defenses by the age of 30, and we're talking about a guy that's getting into his prime, calling out a guy by the time he's almost 40, in his 30s. He could not do what John Jones did in his 20s. There's a reason why he wasn't in the UFC beforehand.
Okay.
And we cannot say that he didn't have the same outlets because MMA has been popular for like the last 20 years. So we're not talking about it like they were still, having to go through Pride or these other things just to get to where they're at. No, it's so easy.
Okay, so let me respond to that.
MMA gyms, yeah.
So let me respond to that. First of all, Tom Aspinall was in the British SAS, the Special Air Services, right? It's British Special Forces. It's like basically like British Navy SEALs. He was in the military. He got out of the military at probably 25, let's say, and then he has to train for MMA, which you don't just walk in and just start fighting. Like, you have to train. He's got a couple of years of that, and then he comes to the UFC, or he starts fighting amateur, and then he wins. He comes to the UFC. He's been on a tear, so he didn't really have the opportunity to do what Jones did in his 20s because he was in the military. But now let me respond to what you said about that John Jones is fought all these champions before he was 30. This and that. That's true, and nobody's taking away John Jones's 205 resume. But let's look at John Jones's heavyweight resume. Because let's just be honest here. Any person, and this is going to tell me if I can respect your MMA knowledge or not. Do you respect John Jones's heavyweight resume?
Oh no! He fought barely alive. What's it called?
Stipe.
Stipe. Yeah, no. That was a clown show. But he just did it just to have another name on his resume. And he fought Cyril God, who's completely inexperienced and has no wrestling.
So Cyril Gahn, that fight to me screamed fixed. Like I'm not one to, like I love the UFC, but every once in a while you get a fight like Juliana in the first Amanda Nunes fight or Matt Serra in the first GSP fight. You get a fight that's questionable. I'm not saying it was fixed. I'm not making those accusations, but I'm saying the way Cyril Gahn laid down for John Jones, it kind of smelled foul to me. Like they wanted to put the belt on Jones so bad. Number one,
and
but
honestly, actually, I think even Aspinall is a harder fight than him fighting. What's his name? Oh fuck.
Stipe.
No, not Stipe. The one that he got cut in the boxing match with what's it called? Lost Stipe. Ngannou. Yeah, I think Aspinall's a harder fight than Ngannou. I think Aspinall beats Ngannou.
That's the fight I would want to see. I'm not so sure Tom beats
Ngannou's not going to do it because he's reaching for money. UFC isn't handing out money, and there's no way that the UFC is handing out $40 million to John Jones to fight Aspinall. That's not the way they do business.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. We're talking about Jones's heavyweight resume, and so we have to be honest about it. Not just who he's fought, but who he hasn't fought. Because see, that's part of the resume. John Jones gave up the 205 belt to move up to heavyweight. Said he needed 2 years to get his body acclimated.
He's not a big guy, even frame wise. He's not big.
He's
very like.
Yeah, but so he needed 2 years to get his body acclimated to gain the weight, healthy and whatever, in a healthy way and whatnot, right? And then what was the fight supposed to be? Jones was supposed to go up to heavyweight for what purpose? To fight who? To fight Ngannou. Now, Ngannou, being the smart man that he is, said, hey, I want to get paid for this. I'm fighting the GOAT, right? Like, I deserve to get paid for this. And the UFC said,
he didn't have the same star. Like, even now, like, there's a lot more people. Like, UFC, I feel like the UFC is more American than anything else compared to, like, the other organizations. Like, of course, Japan, you have, like, one. But and then there's other countries that made it. But it's not, UFC still isn't really that big, if you really think about it.
Well, they're a multi-billion-dollar organization. They can afford to pay Francis $20 million and John $30 million to give, because it's called an investment. Even if the pay-per-view that you have John and Ngannou on is a dud, even if you take a small financial loss, and by small I mean, like, let's say you lose $20 million on the fight on that card, giving the fans what they want is gonna it's a super fight. It's gonna take you're gonna sell, you're gonna reach audiences that you haven't reached before. It's an investment. You can take, and at the end of the year they're gonna write off that loss anyway. Like, so for me,
and my thing too, I'll say this as well. I have a little bit of bias to like John Jones and like Rashad Evans are from like the Buffalo, Niagara Falls area. And I live in Buffalo. That's why you probably get.
You know what's funny is I'm not far away from you.
Yeah, Ken doesn't live far away from you.
Yeah, I'm about 2.5, 3 hours away from you. I'm right on Lake.
Which area are you in?
Yeah, I'm right on.
So you're right there up north. Yeah, so me, I'm just like even like a local fan bias. Like I love that we have all these great. And I like even like single athletes, like we've had Gronkowski come from Buffalo, and with Patrick Kane fan, he's from Buffalo. So I even like the athletes from here,
Yeah, that's fine. And you can be a John Jones fan. Like, I'm personally not,
Yeah.
but I don't hate on people who are. But what I don't like is dishonest fans. And I'm not saying that you are. Understand?
Yeah.
I'm pointing out that there are a lot of Jones fans that stick their head in the sand and they spout this ridiculous nonsense about like Jones being the greatest of all time. Like, at 205, no doubt he's the greatest of all time. I have
Oh yeah,
no
it's not.
problem.
No, it's not close. The same thing with Anderson Silva.
That's,
In his
that's
prime.
what I was going to bring up.
But if we're gonna throw in John Jones's heavyweight resume, then to me he's not in the GOAT conversation.
Cain
Like,
Velasquez, in my opinion, is my favorite heavyweight fighter of all time. Or
yeah, and
Junior
that's fine.
Santos.
But Cain is not.
There's so many guys.
Cain is not in the GOAT conversation though, and this is what I'm trying to talk about is John Jones is in the GOAT conversation, and in fact he's considered by most, if not most, at least many, to be the greatest of all time. But I'm saying that whole narrative is an illusion. It's a wisp of smoke, because he had a Cyril Gane that basically walked into the octagon and laid down for him. Then he fought the corpse of Stipe, and now that he actually has, I mean, literally, dude, they should have checked Stipe for a pulse before that fight. Like, and I like Stipe.
We can, like, when we look at like the other heavyweights in the division, we can easily say, nobody's going to pay for a pay-per-view to see John fight any of the other guys other than Aspinall.
No, and that's the UFC's problem right now, is that the heavyweight division lacks real talent, but Aspinall is a real talent, and he's the
Like, I like him as a fighter. Like, he's a beast. But like, say if the fight goes past 2 rounds, that's where I want to see Aspinall. Like, in a 5-round, like, can he reach that, next level?
He hasn't had to thus far. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, like, him technically, his speed, his power, everything, he is insane as an athlete. So
the question then becomes, JC, are you saying that John Jones can beat Tom Aspinall? Like, you expect if they actually do fight, you expect him to win?
If it gets to the ground, if it gets to wrestling, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can respect that take. Like,
I might even say even a prime Daniel Cormier. Like, say Daniel Cormier was cutting weight and he just was like a heavyweight back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. And wasn't training himself. What could he have been in the heavyweight division in the UFC? Because Strikeforce, he was unstoppable.
I think DC could have been the greatest heavyweight of all time if he had focused strictly on heavyweight. Like,
and a lot of people disrespect him because of his losses to John Jones. Like, him losing to Stipe, he was already out of his prime. But like him, like a prime Danny Cormier beats Stipe.
And let's not forget the second fight with John Jones. What happened shortly after the fight? Jones popped for steroids. Yeah. So apparently Jones knew that Cormier was enough of a threat that he needed to juice up for that fight. Like, there's no other reason that you take steroids. It's not like, I had like a nagging knee that I needed to get better. You don't risk getting caught popping for steroids. Don't get me wrong. No, and I completely respect your take on the thing of getting popped, right? Like, and that's wrong. Like, nobody should ever say. And the same thing happens in boxing, but it's even happened with Canelo, which I think has been clean his whole career, with like supplements and certain meats that people eat, especially in like other countries and stuff like that. Like Canelo got popped for he got hit with a tainted piss test because in Mexico they were with their beef. Okay, but
steroids.
Let me explain that to you. First of all, there's a huge difference there. It wasn't steroids, and I'm not defending Canelo because I think I think that the whole Mexican beef thing was bullshit. If I'm being honest with you, I think it's a convenient excuse that's been used by Mexican fighters so that they can take clenbuterol. Canelo tested positive for clenbuterol. Clenbuterol is a drug.
Well, I don't know the exact thing that they were hit for. I just remember these things, But I don't remember.
I'm explaining it to you right now so that you can be clear on it. Clenbuterol is a drug that is used for asthma, and it basically opens up your lungs so that you can get more oxygen. It increases your red blood cell count, like EPO, like what TJ Dillashaw tested positive for.
TJ took, the EPO.
Yeah, so it's not an anabolic. It's not an anabolic. It doesn't increase strength at all. Canelo took that for the Triple G fight so that he wouldn't gas late in the fight and get knocked out by Triple G, because Triple G was a huge threat. John Jones tested positive for nandrolone. Nandrolone is an anabolic steroid, which he blamed on gas station dick pills. Okay, come on, let's be honest.
That's crazy.
No,
and I tell you what, and I'm going to be honest straight up here. I have bought in one of those things before, right? Because I used to use a lot of cocaine and stuff like that just to put it out there. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to buy
I can tell you're from the area.
And I was like, oh, hey, I'll take one of these. Maybe I can get past, like the coke dick stage. No, them things don't fucking work. But no, I did not feel stronger afterwards.
Well, see that, and this is the thing, dude, is that the thing with steroids is it's not a one dose kind of thing. You don't take one dose and all of a sudden you're Superman, dude. You have to keep taking it. It's called a cycle. You have to run a cycle. And so John Jones saying gas station dick pills to me was the biggest farce. And here, this is again why I do not respect John Jones. Like, I do not respect John Jones because the UFC has catered to him for the past 8 to 9 years, where he's the only fighter that can test positive for steroids. They overturn the fight to a no contest. They give DC his belt back, which is fair, right?
Yeah.
But then in John Jones's future fights, he tests dirty, and they say it was a pulse. It's because he took steroids before, like he's going to have picogram.
Yeah, Picogate. I'm going to call it Picogate.
It can basically pulse into his system for the rest of his life, and even if he's not taking steroids, like, that's bullshit. So you're telling me one gas station dick pill is causing him to pulse picograms for the rest of his life? That is bullshit.
Yeah, and I do remember that because I remember he went on the JRE, Joe Rogan Experience, and he was like, "Yeah, I bought this generic Viagra."
It's ridiculous, dude. And the UFC ran with the narrative, and I don't like that, because you have guys like,
you know what, and this is what makes me even respect DC. When DC came out, the guy is so good, he's so talented. He would have beat me without it, just because of his natural talent.
DC, and this is one thing DC never tested dirty. He had his own.
And I like DC. Like, I don't hate it. I love DC. I like all these guys.
DC had his own problems. He held the towel on to make weight for that one fight. Like, he was a notorious eye poker, just like John Jones. Like, and I like DC. I'm a fan. But let's be honest, DC was a notorious eye poker. That's why he beat Stipe the first time. If you go back and watch that sequence where he knocks out Stipe in the first fight, he literally eye pokes him and then ducks under and lands the shot that knocks Stipe out. And Stipe, when he gets knocked out, like he's not knocked out cold, but he's on the ground after the ref stops the fight, the first thing Stipe does is grab his eyes. Like, and here,
even with John, just to get his face, you can see it. He's got his fingers out, like,
and John is the worst eye poker of them all. And of
course, but
John is
but that, you know what, that's the issue with the gloves, and there's multiple people came out, but then the UFC doesn't want to pay these guys for like just to get the licenses for these gloves.
No, it's not an issue with the gloves, JC. It's an issue with John Jones. John Jones intentionally sticks his fingers out so that when the opponent comes into range, if my fingers just happen to go in his eyes, it's an unintentional foul. Like, he's done it his whole career. Like, you go back and look and watch his whole career. John Jones has always stuck his fingers out. It's the just in case. It's the just in case, dude. Number one. Number two.
How do you guys feel about the format that like ONE FC does? Instead of just having them do MMA to prove who the best fighter is, you have to do multiple things. Like, all right, this match is on the ground. This match is on the feet, just to prove who the best fighter is.
I mean, it's good for them. It wouldn't work in the UFC. We're there to watch a fight, not a grappling
Yeah,
match.
exactly. I get it. I get it. Like, in Japan and stuff like that, they're more about the martial arts and technical stuff. But for the
Well,
USI, we don't want to see that. We want
MMA
to
is
see.
very technical too. Like, it's just that
But
I think,
we want to see the Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje to the average guy. That's what we want to see.
well, that's what casual fans want. But hardcore fans, they like grappling too. But the thing is, we
Yeah.
want grappling where strikes are allowed. Like, if we're gonna do a 5-minute grappling round and then a 5-minute kickboxing round and then a 5-minute MMA round, it's like, it's okay. So this guy's the better grappler when it's a pure grappling match, but grappling is only really tested if you're allowed to get punched in the face while you're grappling, in my opinion. Like, that's the thing, is like, MMA to me is the perfect, it's mixed martial arts, right? So
Yeah.
you might be an excellent grappler, you might be a guy like Craig Jones, right? But can you do that when a guy is punching you in the face? That's the big question, because that's what it ultimately comes down to, right? Otherwise, your grappling, as showy and as fancy as it is, it means absolute dog. It means piss. It means nothing. You're like, if
And
your
I actually have a question for you.
if your grappling doesn't work when a guy is punching you in the face, it's useless.
Yeah. Do you think Magomedov beating Pozan, do you think that affected John Jones's decision? Do you think he wanted Pozan to win, and then if he would have won, he wanted him to move up to fight him, but
Of
then
course
once
he
he
did. He wanted
lost,
Poatan. He wanted Poatan because it's big money and Poatan doesn't wrestle. So John would just grapple him. It's an easy fight for him, and he knows it. And he's even said it.
Yeah, and it's the same issue with boxers now. That's the difference. Like with boxers, they're by the time they're at their end, they get a bunch of easy fights. It's all about money, and that's the thing. And UFC really hasn't gotten to that point. But maybe it might happen because Nate Diaz has came out and said he wants to re-sign with the UFC to have another bout with Conor.
That fight is still on the table. Which form of MMA? Oh, so Brent, I think what you mean to ask is which martial art is dominant in this sport. I would say wrestling and jiu-jitsu are the two dominant ones. Wrestling, for the most part, wrestlers dominate. If you look at the list of champions right now, a lot of those guys can wrestle. There are strikers that are champions, but I think wrestlers win more titles. And jiu-jitsu guys also, but jiu-jitsu is dominant in the sense that everybody has it, or everybody has to have it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like that jiu-jitsu guys are dominating the world. It's like everybody in MMA now.
Everybody has to train.
Everybody in MMA trains jiu-jitsu because they have to, because everybody knows it. You know what I mean? It's jiu-jitsu is, in my opinion, the most effective martial art. But it depends on the situation. Like, as far as grappling goes, to me, jiu-jitsu is the best. But is it the best stand-up martial art? No, obviously there's Muay Thai, there's judo is an excellent stand-up art. You need some boxing knowledge.
Dude, Muay Thai, when you watch Muay Thai, it is an insane sport to watch. You watch Muay Thai, those guys go at it.
Yeah. I mean, Muay Thai, if you could have a combination, if you were good at Muay Thai and really good at jiu-jitsu, you could be almost an unbreakable fighter, dude. You really could. Look at Valentina Shevchenko, for example, right? She doesn't have the most power in the world. She doesn't have a lot of punching power. She has a lot of kicking power. She can, look what she did to Jessica Ai. But she's a multiple-time world kickboxing champion, and she's a phenomenal grappler. And there's a reason that she has.
she's so technical and like literally like I love what they say how they believe that she was basically like a Russian spy or something like that's what she is. When you watch her fight, like that's what I think of as like a special agent from like
Valentina is an
Russia. She is
assassin,
nuts.
bro. And she
Yeah.
shoots guns. She flies planes, bro. And she literally came out on where they had an interview after the last fight night where Macy Barber pulled out at the last second, and they asked her about the Zhang Wei Li fight, and they asked her, and she literally said, "I modeled myself after James Bond. I always loved James Bond," and like, and they're like, "Well, we could see that you fly planes, you speak like 4 languages, you dance." You're multiple-time world kickboxing champion, a super phenomenal grappler. Like you're proficient with guns. They're like, people think you're a spy, like, and she laughed about it, but she didn't deny it.
Yeah. They really believe like she was like a like a Mirko Crow Cop. Remember Mirko, dude? That dude was a killer. He
Dude,
was
I
like
would
an
not be.
actual like.
I mean, I don't want to say this because I don't want to get Valentina in trouble, but I literally would not be surprised one bit if she was a Russian asset, dude. Not one bit.
But do you remember Mirko Crow Cop? He was like a special like fighter. You know, like
He was the police special forces. He's the Croatian police special forces guy. He wasn't a spy, but he was police special forces. He was a badass.
Dude, that dude was a killer. And dude, I'll never forget that face off with him and what's it called? He fought Chael was Chainsaw Murder or what?
The axe murderer face over.
Yeah, dude. Watch that face off is the most intense face off you will ever see.
Yeah, Vanderlei is just an intense dude. Vanderlei's an intense dude. But let's get back to this John Jones thing, because what do you think? I mean, let's be honest, JC. If the John Jones Tom Aspinall does not materialize,
I think John Jones could retire now, and it doesn't matter. I think he's better off just retiring because he's not like a giant money spender. It's not like he's broke.
But do you think that him not fighting Tom affects his legacy?
No.
Really?
No, because because of what he did at 205.
I can respect your take, but I disagree. Frankly, I think it does affect his legacy, because if he had retired the moment that the Stipe fight was over, I would say no. I would say it doesn't affect his legacy. He wanted to fight Stipe. Okay, he rides off into the sunset. But he has now held up the division for over a year. Tom has had to defend the interim title. Nobody defends interim title. Tom has had to defend the interim title.
And I'll say this, they should strip him, honestly.
I agree.
But this has been a great debate, and you're more than welcome to join us next Wednesday. But unfortunately, we have reached that time. We want to
why is it every time we really get going, it's like the end of the show?
But we want to thank
they have other shows. Yeah.
Hey, we'd like to invite you back, JC, next week. We'll come back and we'll finish this John Jones debate.
So do you guys do this every Wednesday? Every Wednesday, same time?
Yep.
Same time.
Yeah, every Wednesday.
Yep, I'll be here next week.
All right.
All
right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for commenting. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you back next Wednesday.
Yeah, yo, it's game time. Ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports. Just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken. Stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we